Welcome back, everybody. It's Zach here, bringing you guys another fantasy football video. And this one I'll be doing a mock draft for you guys on the Sleeper platform. My first mock draft for you guys that's not an auction draft this season on Sleeper, so it should be a lot of fun. In this one I'll be doing a half PPR 12-team mock draft. Randomized my draft spot, got pick 6 here, so it should be a lot of fun. A lot you can do with that draft spot, sort of right in that sweet spot. I think it's honestly the best spot to be drafting from. So excited to be in that spot. I think this one should be a lot of fun. The roster size here is pretty standard. We got one quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, 2 flex spots, a kicker, a defense, and then of course you got the standard 4 bench spots and all that. So should be a lot of fun. If you guys have any questions or anything, let me know. I'm just going to sort of run through this and talk through what my typical strategy is throughout the course of the draft. Talk through, how I would go about approaching things, and hopefully give you guys some good insight and towards what you guys should be doing on draft night as well. So let's get started here. Should be a lot of fun. We'll get this draft kicked off. Here we go. So we're going to start off with the obvious: Ja'Marr Chase, Saquon, Bijan. Amon-Ra at pick 4 is surprising, and then Jefferson at pick 5 seems about right. For me, this is perfect. Typically, I think that my top 6 is really clear, and that doesn't actually include Amon-Ra. So the top 6 would be Ja'Marr Chase, Saquon, Bijan, and Jefferson. And then to go with that, you've obviously got Jahmyr Gibbs and CeeDee Lamb, who I like a lot of. Looking at who you get in round 2 here, so you're typically looking at roughly like the A.J. Brown, Drake London, Bucky Irving tier. I don't love those options in general. For me, though, I'm just going to take the best player available for me, and that's going to be Jahmyr Gibbs. Got a legit shot to be the running back 1, and I think that's just a great way to start the draft. So we'll do that. Obviously, CD would have been the next choice, but we're not going to get him here. What I'd like to do is start running back, wide receiver. I'm not going to force that, but it's just typically nice to have that flexibility later on, especially in a league where I don't really want to start running back because then I'm probably just leaning receiver all the way the rest of the way. Especially in a half PPR, more so in a full PPR, but even in a half PPR, you typically want to be starting wide receivers over running backs, especially once you get past that top tier. So you're going to want your 2 flex spots to be filled with wide receivers. So I don't want to have 2 running backs right away. This is perfect here. Drake London is a fantastic pick. He's going to be the pick here for sure. So starting off with Gibbs in London feels really great. I feel really solid about that going into round 3. What we're looking at in round 3 here, I typically I'm looking at getting, I love it if Chase Brown slips to me. I love it if either Trey McBride or Bowers makes it to me. That doesn't happen very often, but every now and then you'll get those guys in the middle of round 3. Ladd McConkey is certainly interesting. I know the Chargers just went and signed Keenan Allen today. I don't think that's the end of the world. I think Keenan Allen's going to be the clear 2 in that offense, but it does limit the target share just a little bit for Ladd, so I think the ceiling case is a little bit lower there. Looking at running backs, if I were to go running back, it would probably be Amari and Hampton. I know his ADP is really suppressed here, but I think you could actually make an argument for that being a good pick here in round 3. I think, though, playing the ADP game, we got a shot at getting him at pick 39, so I won't go there. At wide receiver, Ladd would be the clear pick if I was going to go there. At tight end, we could go George Kittle, but honestly, I think I want to play around with Jayden Daniels here. I haven't really done a whole lot of drafts where I take a quarterback early, and I think it's going to be fun to see how this roster turns out, and I think this is about the right time to at least start considering him. 3rd quarterback off the board. I feel good about that. So Jayden Daniels is the pick. We're obviously we're not going to take a quarterback the rest of the draft, right? So that's great. We're locked in there. Not really a stack that I want to target with Jayden Daniels. I think it's an option, but it's definitely not something that I think you need to force by any means. So taking a look here, we got lucky. We got what we wanted. I really wanted Amari and Hampton to come back to us. He would have been my highest running back on the board previously, and we had 4 go off the board, and he's still here. So he's the pick. We're going to feel really great about our running backs with Gibbs and Hampton. Jayden Daniels and London are fantastic, and now we're probably looking to hammer wide receiver unless the value shows itself at tight end. Not really going to take a tight end this early. I don't want to put myself in a spot where I go tight end and quarterback early. It really limits what your upside is across the rest of your roster. So we're not going to do that here. So we're going to look wide receiver unless there's just a crazy value somewhere else. Looking at wide receivers here, my highest ranked guy here left on the board here would be George Pickens. I love George Pickens this season, but I also think Courtland Sutton's a great pick. Courtland Sutton feels safer, especially as your wide receiver 2, so I understand the appeal of taking Sutton there, just because it feels like he's going to have a lot less boom or bust, as to where Pickens is going to be probably 20 points one week and 8 the next. Going to be a bit of a bumpier ride there. There's a better chance of Pickens making it back to me, but the odds of him making it back to me on the next pick, they're really low here, right? Like, Pickens is not going to be available for me, so at this point I just want to take my favorite player. It's going to be George Pickens. I know it's a reach there, but I love George Pickens too much this year. I just think the upside is just way higher than what Sutton has to offer, and I'm okay missing out on that. I'll eat the bit of inconsistency because I think the rest of my roster can take it there. Wow, so that's awesome. We didn't get Sutton obviously, but two other receivers I'm a big fan of this year that still made it back are Tetairoa McMillan and Jalen Waddle. I love both those guys quite a bit this season. If I were running a running back, it would be DeAndre Swift pretty clearly for me, but McMillan and Waddle are by far the two highest guys left on my board looking at this, and I'm super stoked that McMillan slipped to us. That just feels like an auto pick for me here. It's possible Waddle makes it back to us. He probably won't, but you could at least consider that as an option. But McMillan's the pick here. There's no really thinking for me to be done there, and that just makes me feel really great about our wide receiver room. So I feel really good about that. Looking up to our next pick here. We can at least consider going running back again. Obviously, we want to have at least three we can start. I think that probably Brian Robinson would be the next selection. I like Caleb Johnson a little bit, but the reports out of training camp are not good. He's reportedly just really struggling in pass protection. That's going to be really important with Aaron Rodgers under center. So I don't really want to go that route. Travis Kelce in the 7th round is certainly interesting, especially if we've got no Rashee Rice. Hollywood's banged up. I think we're going to see Travis Kelce over the first half of the season be really good. So I don't mind that there. At tight end, though, I think there's just better options later. Like I love Njoku and Warren. I'll probably be targeting those guys. At wide receiver, Rome feels like a great option if I want to shoot for upside. But I think Jakobi Meyers is probably the best pick to make here. We've got a really inconsistent wide receiver core after Drake London. I think Jakobi Meyers is going to be a bit of a stabilizer, so that if we ended up drafting busts between Pickens and McMillan, which certainly is possible with those guys, I think Meyers will be a stabilizer for our roster, and I'll feel good about him. So Meyers is the pick. Feel really good about that. And then now we've got 4 wide receivers that we feel really good about, so now we're totally flexible. We're just going to be looking to take values across the board here. Cool. So we got a bunch of quarterbacks go off the board. That's awesome for us because we're not taking one here, so that's great. At running back, if we were going to take a running back here, wow, okay, I don't love any of these options. Najee Harris, I can't really get behind. I have Amari Hampton. It's kind of like a handcuff situation. Travis Etienne feels really risky. Javonte, I'm pretty high on compared to consensus, but I just don't love it if he's my running back 3. If I were to rank these running backs, I think Jordan Mason's probably the best option left on the board. Looking at receiver, I think there's a lot of argument to be made here that Stephon Diggs and Ricky Pearsall are great picks. Pearsall is especially enticing with the injury to Juwan Jennings. We're looking at that as an option. At tight end, I think we can wait till the next round and look at either Warren or Njoku. So I think I'm going to go Pearsall. Just give ourselves that upside shot. Again, we're still going to be thin at running back, but that's the benefit of taking 2 in the first 4 rounds is you're going to be okay. You can find someone to play in your bye weeks if you have to. I'm not saying it's good to only have 2 running backs, but you can get away with it if you went early there. So now here we are in round 9. So if we want to take a look at the tight end spot here, Njoku and Warren are both still on the board. I just want to look and see how many teams between me have taken a tight end. So all but 1 have taken a tight end here. So at worst, we're probably seeing 1 tight end come off the board. So I'm not going to take it because I think they're both really similar to me. So we're going to look at running back. Jordan Mason's still available. I'd feel really good about getting Jordan Mason there. At receiver, I think Emeka Egbuka is a fantastic pick, so I'd sort of torn between those 2. I've got 5 wide receivers already. I think I want to take the next best running back on the board, and for me, that's going to be Jordan Mason here. A ton of upside there, and I think he's a reliable weekly option if you need him as well. So I know it's a bit of a reach, but I think the next pick, I'm probably looking at taking my tight end, so I'm not going to really be able to play the ADP game here. We're just going to take the best running back left. I feel really good about that. We see a run at running back. Oh, that's bad. That's dumb. Okay. So this is kind of what happens when you draft against the computer. We had the team with Kelce take Tyler Warren. We had the team with Hawkinson take David Njoku. Tight end's off the board for us there. That kind of sucks. If you look at tight end for me, I think if you wanted to get interested, you could look at either Loveland or Tucker Kraft. But for me, I feel like at this point, I kind of just want to punt the position entirely. I'm okay with making that my last pick now. I think we missed the tier in terms of there being any upside. We're not taking a quarterback here, obviously. So now it's just all about taking the best flex available. Jaden Higgins is incredibly enticing. He could be a starting receiver right away for the Texans. I like that. Tajay Spears feels like a really good pick. All the reports out of training camp are that Spears looks fantastic. I've been high on him for months, and I think that maybe it's confirmation bias, but I think there's a chance he's just the most talented running back in Tennessee this season. Definitely the best pass catcher, and I think if he's a reliable option in a PPR or half PPR, and then if something happened to Pollard, Spears would be great. So I'm gonna go Spears here. I'm going to have a ton of Spears this season. It's going to be a lot of fun watching him play this year. Now we see a run at tight end. We can see Kincaid, Kraft, and Loveland go back to back to back. That's okay. We're not taking a tight end until probably our last pick, so I think that's going to be fine. We could look at someone like Jake Ferguson, but it just doesn't get me excited. Kyle Pitts is a trap. I can't do it, especially with Drake London. I'm not going to go 2 Falcon pass catchers. So looking at things here, we still have 2 running backs on our bench, only 1 wide receiver, but we're obviously flexing 2. So we've got a total of 5 receivers, 4 running backs. I feel pretty good about that. I really just want to shoot for upside at this point, right? So at running back, I think we're looking at pure upside. I think there's a big case to be made for Ray Davis. I think he's one of the premier handcuffs options. You could look at Jaden Blue as a guy that might be reliable. J.K. Dobbins is a great option as well. Just a chance that he starts week 1. That's certainly something we can't just knock, right? There's certainly upside there. Looking at receiver, nobody that gets me super excited. I think I'm pretty glad we went heavy wide receiver early. So for me, we're going to take the best running back available. And I think I'm going to go J.K. Dobbins, just because maybe he's the starting running back in Denver, and we know there's going to be a lot of running back value there. We see Jake Ferguson go. Again, just keeping an eye on the tight ends here because we're clearly going to be picking from a pretty slim group of people when it comes up to our last pick. So we had everyone else go off the board here. Looking at best available players, Kyle Pitts is continuing to slip, so if we wanted to do that, we could look at it. I would kind of hate myself if I took him there, though, so I don't really want to do that. I think we want to look at maybe one more upside shot at running back. If we're going to go receiver, just because I want to have at least maybe 2 wide receivers on my bench, I think Cedric Tillman's incredibly interesting. I like Kyle Williams as an upside shot. I think there's something to be said there. Wandale in a PPR is fine. Actually, Keenan Allen feels like the right pick here. I know his ADP is obviously going to skyrocket here, but him in Los Angeles, I think there's a lot of upside there. He's not going to be the one. That'll be Ladd. That it could be a 1A, 1B situation. Keenan didn't look cooked to me by any means last year, and he's going to fit right in. He's obviously got a lot of familiarity with Los Angeles. Keenan feels like the right pick here. I'm going to make that one. You're going to see his ADP climb really quickly here, so you probably won't be able to get him this late. I bet he's going to be like a 10th, 9th round pick here pretty soon. Getting him in the 12th feels really good. So now we're looking at a spot here. I think we want to consider taking a tight end. We can wait one more round. Basically, we're going to be filling this draft. We're not going to have a kicker or a defense, just because typically if you're drafting this early, I wouldn't recommend doing that. I think that you'd want to just draft extra positional players, and then you could drop them for a kicker and a defense right before the draft. So looking at best player available here, again, I want to shoot for upside. I think we're feeling pretty good at running back with how much depth we have on our bench here. So I think we're going to be looking to take one more wide receiver, and I think the wide receiver with the most upside left on the board. I think you got 2 options. I think it's either Kyle Williams or Pat Bryant. Pat Bryant slips quite a bit here. I think Pat Bryant's got a shot to, he's not going to be the one. It'll be Sutton, but there's a chance he's the number 2 target. It's not like Sutton's a special player either, so there's at least upside there. But actually, Kyle Williams. Okay, I'm going to go Pat Bryant, but I think both of them are great options if you wanted to go there. And then with our last pick, we're going to take a tight end. Just looking at the available options here, there's obviously not anything super sexy. Zach Ertz is a reasonable option, actually. It's kind of fun because at least gives us the stack with Jaden Daniels. So that's kind of where we're leaning. He's the highest ranked left. He's going to be a reliable option. Week 1 matchup against the Giants doesn't scare us. The Giants definitely give it up to the tight end position. So that's kind of where you're at if you totally punt on tight end. You kind of want to at least look at that early season schedule. Just keep that in mind because especially when you're going late tight end, you're probably streaming the position. So at least make sure you feel good about that week 1 matchup because it's going to suck if you draft the tight end and then drop him for someone else right away. So we're going to go Zach Ertz here. It'll be fun. It'll be the crappiest stack ever with Jaden Daniels, but I feel pretty good about that. Overall, I think this is a pretty fun draft. I think I actually like how my team turned out, right? I don't feel like there's any, obviously tight end's the weak point, but in general, outside of drafting a top 3 tight end, you kind of have a weak spot at tight end. So if I'm going to have a weak spot at a position across the league, I think tight end's the one I want to have that in. It's also the easiest position to just sort of stream matchups and get good value out of. So it's typically I want a top 3 tight end, or I want to either get a guy with a ton of upside late or just stream position all year. I've got no problem following myself into that situation. So I feel good about that. Our receivers are stacked here. We've got London, McMillan, Pickens, Myers, Pearsall, and Keenan Allen to go with Pat Bryant. A lot of really solid options there. I feel really good about the top 4 so that I can just start every single week. And then Pearsall, Keenan, and Bryant are sort of nice dart throws to give us some upside. At running back, I feel super excited about our top 2 in Jahmyr Gibbs and Amarian Hampton. Pair that with just a lot of upside in Jordan Mason, Tajay Spears, and J.K. Dobbins. Feel pretty good about that there. And then obviously at quarterback, we got Jaden Daniels. As good a shot as any to be the quarterback one this season. So I really like this team. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have any other mock drafts you'd like to see, let me know in the comments below. If you have any teams you'd like me to grade, feel free to upload some rosters throughout these videos. I'll probably be getting into some like team grading here in like a couple weeks. So if you guys want to upload rosters, I'll be happy to give you guys reviews of those. It'll be like, not all of them are going to get reviewed, of course, but I'll try. It'll be a lot of fun. I'll put out some videos like that. There's going to be a ton more content coming, a lot more mock drafts, a lot of draft strategy, tons of news to go over, right? There's going to be a lot of fun stuff coming up. There's going to be at least 3 videos every single week, so make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. There's going to continue to be a ton of content during the course of the regular season as well, and we're going to have a lot of fun together and hopefully win some championships. So make sure you're subscribed. If you made it this far in the video, hopefully you guys found it helpful, so give it a thumbs up, help me out there, and then, yeah, I'll catch you guys with the next one. Peace. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out these other videos here if you haven't. If you want more content, please feel free to follow me on Twitter at RealSteelFFB. I'll be more active on there as the season goes on. Thanks. Catch you later.